Hello learners, I Dr. Niradhar Dey, faculty member, School of Education, Indira Gandhi National Open University, welcome you all to this video program. Today we are going to discuss one of the very important topic, that is context and perspectives of discipline. Friends, as you know, this is one of the very important aspect of the course of the B.Ed program, that is understanding disciplines and subjects. Friends, already we have discussed some of the topics and some of the video programs, and this program, that is context and perspectives of discipline, is also linked with, related with the earlier video programs that we have already discussed. So friends, let us go forward to know detail about the deliberation, the discourses that has been addressed in this video program. First of all, let me to say, as you know that this online course is designed in 8 different weeks with 6 different modules. So now we are in the 3rd week, means this video program and the content that you are getting that has been kept in the 3rd week of this online course. And at present we are discussing the 2nd module. The title of this module, that is Perspectives of Disciplinary Knowledge, and in this module 2 video programs that has been designed, that has been included. First is Context and Perspectives of Discipline, and the second is Interrelationships between and among the disciplines. So friends, today is the first video program of 2nd module of 3rd week, that is Context and Perspectives of Disciplines. Let us go forward. The learning outcomes of this video program, after going through this video program, you will be able to explain the philosophical perspective of a discipline, you will be able to explain the socio-political perspective of a discipline, and also you will be able to explain the historical perspective of a discipline. So friends, let me to recapitulate that the concept that we have already discussed in the video program of characteristics of a discipline, that we have already discussed in the earlier module, in the earlier weekly design of the course outlet, that when we are discussing about the features and characteristics of a discipline, I have discussed that every discipline is having certain context and certain perspectives. Without a perspective, without a context, no discipline has been emerged, no discipline has been evolved. So that's why here particularly when we talk about the context and perspectives of a discipline, our focus is on 3 major perspectives. One is the philosophical perspective, other is the socio-political perspective, and the third is the historical perspective. So friends, let us go forward to discuss about the particular concept that has been addressed, the particular perspectives that has been discussed under philosophical perspective, then socio-political perspective and historical perspective. As you know, I was earlier talking about the characteristics of a discipline. When we talk about the characteristics of a discipline, you know, every discipline is having a substantial body of knowledge. Okay, you take the example of a discipline of science, of a discipline of social science, discipline of language, discipline of mathematics, or any physical education, any discipline. So you will find that every discipline is having certain theories, certain principles and certain knowledge base. And basically that theories, that principles and that knowledge base, that get addressed when the discipline is take a shape of a type of academic manifestation. That's, you can say, the institutional manifestation. That means you will find that every discipline is having a type of institutional manifestation. You will find that particular curriculum that has developed in every discipline for pursuing certain programs, certain academic programs and certain academic courses, just like for UG program, undergraduate program, for postgraduate program, PG program. Then you can also say that for the research program also, you will find that the research scholars, they are pursuing their research degree program in various disciplines, taking different themes, different topics from the discipline. So that's why when we talk about the characteristics of a discipline, it has first of all a substantial body of knowledge a discipline is having, and further a discipline is having a type of institutional manifestation, and every discipline is also having a type of research base. Okay, so because you will find that in the course of time you will find that new knowledge that emerge, and further basing upon the new knowledge, basing upon the new theories, new principles, new laws, you will find that new disciplines, or you can say the sub-disciplines, that also take a shape, that also being practiced. So that's why friends, when we talk about a discipline is having its own feature, own characteristics, own identity. Okay, so every discipline is having own identity. So in the discipline, in the characteristics of discipline, we have discussed that every discipline is having certain context and perspectives. Okay, so here we will discuss three contexts of the discipline, or three perspectives of a discipline. That is, first is the philosophical perspective, second is the socio-political perspective, and third is the historical perspective. So friends, when we talk about the philosophical perspective, it addresses a, you can say, substantial body of knowledge and knowledge base. Every discipline is having a certain knowledge base, certain theories and certain principles. You can take the example of economics. If you take the example of economics as a discipline, you will find that many theories, many principles, that many formulas, you can say, that are practiced in the discipline of economics for solving different economic problems. Further, you can take the example of mathematics as a discipline. You will find that mathematics is having its own body of knowledge, own principles, own formulas, own theories, own laws, own practices. Okay, so that's why friends, when we talk about perspectives of a discipline, particularly it talks about the epistemological base. Okay, so that is the theory of knowledge. Okay, so every discipline is having a particular type of knowledge. It may be a science discipline, it may be a social science discipline, and further the second discipline, that second perspective of a discipline that we are saying, that is the socio-political perspective. You will find that when we practice a discipline, a type of concept, a type of our social practices, our customs, our culture, our traditions, that also get reflected from that discipline, that also get practiced in that discipline. So friends, socio-political perspective is also another important aspect when we talk about the perspective of a discipline, or when we frame a discipline, when we, you can say, evolve a discipline, we design a discipline. And the political system also, you will find that, you can say, the different forms of government that practiced in the country, and if you go through curriculum of that country in different level of education, maybe school education, maybe for the higher education, you will find that the political ideologies, the political principles, the political belief, the political ideas. I am here talking about the democratic form of government. You will find that in the school curriculum or in the higher education curriculum, the concept of democracy, the values of democracy, that also gets reflected. That is included, you can say, that is through teaching of social science, teaching of sciences, teaching of languages, or other disciplines. So that's why socio-political practices, socio-political perspective is also another important perspective of a discipline. Then further, historical perspective. So friends, when we talk about historical perspective, it means every discipline is having its own history, is having its own chronology, is having its own development. Okay, every discipline is having its own story, own narration. So without a story, without a development, without a proper history, without a proper chronology, you will not find that there is the existence of a discipline. So that's why these are the distinctive feature of a discipline, distinctive perspectives of a discipline, that every discipline is having its own story and own development and own history. So friends, further we will discuss particularly the concept that has been addressed under the philosophical perspective, socio-political perspective, and historical perspective of a discipline. Let us go forward. So friends, when we talk about philosophical perspective, as I have already said that every discipline has its own philosophy. It explains the specific knowledge base and processes of knowledge acquisition in every discipline. So friends, if I will give the example of the discipline of science, you will find that the particular type of knowledge that has been get together, and when we categorize a particular type of knowledge for forming a discipline of science, you will find that the you can say the disciplinary experiences, the disciplinary deliberations, discourses are different, and you will also find that the knowledge for acquiring a science discipline is something different than social science and languages. So that's why the processes that we adopt for acquiring knowledge in science discipline, for acquiring knowledge in social science discipline, for acquiring knowledge in language discipline is something different. Further we will discuss it with detail. But here friends, 4 major disciplines that is being practiced in our school system, just like science as a discipline, social science as a discipline, mathematics as a discipline, and languages as a discipline. These 4 disciplines are highly practiced in our school education system. So here you will find that the knowledge base of science is somehow different from the knowledge base of social science. Then further, knowledge base of mathematics is also somehow different than the knowledge base of languages. So here we will discuss about the specific knowledge base and the philosophical aspect and the broad knowledge that are being addressed in these disciplines, that is disciplines of science, social science, mathematics and languages. Let us go forward. So friends, the philosophical perspectives of different disciplines, that means when we are considering a type of knowledge base, a type of knowledge acquisition processes that are involved in different disciplines, that is just like, if I will give the example of science, what we are doing, we are involving ourselves a type of empirical work. That means empiricism. The knowledge of empiricism is highly associated with, is highly linked with the discipline of science. Then further we can take the example of the knowledge and its processes, just like logical positivism. So here what we are doing, we are just doing a type of experiment, we are doing a type of you can say scientific experiment in a lab, and we are verifying the fact, okay, the fact whether that is true or false. So for verifying a fact, what you are doing, we are just doing empirically, we are doing it, taking certain data, we are experimenting it in a very laboratory condition, or many a time we can also do it beyond the laboratory conditions also in science, and it also based upon the inquiry, scientific observation. So friends, here you see we do a type of observation, and here these observations are called as the scientific observation. This is not the social observation, means our outlook, our involvement in observing the things, verifying the things, testing the things, that is based upon the scientific principles, that is based upon the scientific formulas, that is based upon the scientific laws. So that's why friends, when we talk about a discipline of science, you will find the processes for acquisition of knowledge that we use, that we follow, that we employ, that may be a type of empiricism, logical positivism, scientific inquiry, experimentation, as well as scientific observation. And equally, when we talk about a discipline of social science, the philosophical perspective of a discipline of social science, the discipline of social science is having a substantial body of knowledge, it has its epistemological base, theory of knowledge, okay, the science of knowledge, and the processes that we follow for acquiring knowledge, particularly in the discipline of social science, that is, you can say, social observation. So what we are doing, we are just observing our society, observing the tradition of the society, our culture. Then further we are also involve ourselves in social inquiry, You see, in the discipline of science, so what we are doing, we are involving ourselves, we are engaging ourselves in scientific inquiry, whereas when we talk about the discipline of social science, so what we are doing, we are involving, we are engaging ourselves in social inquiry. We are just studying the interpersonal relationship, we are studying different social groups, their lifestyle, their culture, their tradition, their living standard. Okay, so what they are doing in the community, then further social exploration. Just like scientific exploration, in the discipline of social science, you will find the scholars, they involve themselves in social exploration. They are also finding new truths, you can say new happenings and new practices which is going on in the society, in the community, in different social groups. Then further social narratives also. When we are doing a type of anthropological study, when we are doing a type of longitudinal study, you will find that cross-sectional and longitudinal study we are doing, especially in the discipline of education. So what we are doing, we are just listening the narratives of the people, different social groups. So friends, when we talk about the processes of knowledge acquisition in social science, it also deals with social narratives. So what the people say, the story that the people say about different aspects, different things, okay, and different happenings in the society regarding their ideas, regarding their beliefs, means what they are doing in the society, may be related to culture, may be related to their tradition, and may be related to their group living, community living. Then further, when we talk about the discipline of mathematics, you will find that mathematics is also having a type of philosophical perspective. It is also having a body of knowledge and processes that we follow for acquiring mathematical knowledge. The processes that we follow, just like problem solving, then further we can say inductive reasoning and deductive reasoning. Mostly these things we highly used for acquiring knowledge in the discipline of mathematics. We solve problem by using formulas. We develop certain formulas in mathematics, and for solving the problem we use those formulas. Then further we can take the example for studying mathematics, for learning mathematics, for teaching mathematics, for acquiring knowledge in mathematics. So what we are doing, we are using two broad methods. One is the inductive reasoning method and other is the deductive reasoning methods. So to explain about the inductive reasoning method, you will find that we proceed from particular to general, okay, from particular to general, from examples to rules, okay, from examples to rules. And when we talk about deductive reasoning, it is just opposite, it is just contradiction, that here we are proceeding from general to particular, means just like men are mortal, it means every person who has taken birth in this world will die one day. So here by giving one example in inductive reasoning, by giving one example, we reach at the general concept, we reach at the rule, we reach at the principle. But in deductive reasoning, what we are doing, first we are using the principle, we are using the formula, we are using the general you can say practices, and from there what we are just linking it with the particular things which is happening in the society. So that's why one is from particular to general and other, that is deductive reasoning, that is from general to particular. So friends, one is from example to rules and other is from rules to example. So first we will develop the rule, then after when we use that rule for solving our problems by putting certain examples, then we can say that is the deductive reasoning. And these are the processes that we follow for acquiring knowledge related to mathematics. And friends, when we talk about languages, you will find that the processes in the philosophical perspective to understand the concept of language, the discipline of language, the processes of knowledge acquisition that we follow, that we use, that is acquisition of reading, writing, speaking and listening skills. So friends, try to understand 4 types of skills which is very much important for acquiring knowledge, for acquiring understanding, especially in any language discipline. That is four types of skills, that is reading, the skill of reading, the skill of writing, the skill of speaking, and the skill of listening. So no language skill is possible, no language knowledge acquisition is possible without developing, without acquiring, without practicing these four different skills. So that's why, friends, these are the certain language acquisition processes that we follow for acquiring knowledge in a language. Further, we also involve ourselves in critical analysis, appreciating and creating literature. So friends, when we study the philosophical perspective of language, says that we involve ourselves in appreciating literature. So friends, when you are getting a piece of literature which is developed earlier, so what you are doing, you are just appreciating, you are appreciating it, the beauty of the things that has been created by the writer, created by the poet. At the same time, you are also involving yourself, writing, creating certain literature, certain poem, and a type of narratives also, and you are developing a type of critical analysis skill, that what has been developed by the creators, by, you can say, the writers, the poet. So these are the philosophical perspective of a discipline, and further let us try to understand that what are the socio-political perspective of a discipline. So friends, discipline is related to the society, its norms, principles, tradition, and cultures, and the way of living. So every discipline is related to the society. You can take the example of discipline of mathematics. You can't say that a discipline of mathematics is beyond the society. The happenings in a discipline of mathematics, that is not a part of the society. So friends, this is also the part of the society. So every discipline, you can take the example of the discipline of science, discipline of social science, discipline of mathematics, discipline of different languages. You will find that this is very much related with the society, its norm, its principles, its traditions, its cultures, and our way of living. And many a time, socio-cultural practices form the part of our school curriculum. So friends, if you go through the national curriculum framework, if you go through the textbook, the school textbooks that has been developed as per the national curriculum framework, you will find that across the subjects, take the example of mathematics, science, social science, languages, you will find that certain topics, certain matters, certain themes, certain ideas that has been discussed, which is related to our social practices, which is related to our cultural practices, which is related to our tradition. So friends, when we talk about a school curriculum, so definitely that curriculum reflects the socio-political perspective. So every curriculum is having a socio-political perspective, our social practices and the political practices of a country, also different forms of government. You will find, you can let's give the example of the democratic form of government. So when the curriculum of a country, will find that if that country practices a democratic form of government, then the principal values of the democracy, the practices of the democracy, that is also being reflected in curriculum, in textbooks, and you will find that the children's, the young generation, they are grooming themselves. You can say that they are grooming that takes place with those democratic values, democratic principles, democratic laws, and democratic practices. And further, we can say that the goals of education are based upon the goals of the socio-political system of this country, goals of education. Every education system is having its own aims, goals, and objectives. So friends, when I talk about goals, which is very broad in nature, maybe national integration, international understanding, universal brotherhood, you will find that also these are the goal of the society, socio-political system, and further that also got translated as goal of our education system. So that's why socio-political perspective is also another important perspective of a discipline. Then further we can say that in our country we have a common educational structure starting from school to higher education. So earlier we are practicing the 10 plus 2 plus 3 system of education. 10 years of school education, then 2 years of higher secondary education, then 3 years of degree education, or you can say college education. But now as per NEP 2020, now the system, the curricular and pedagogical structure of school education, that is 5 plus 3 plus 3 plus 4 system of education. 5 years of foundational education, then 3 years of preparatory education, then 3 years of middle education, then 4 years of secondary education. So friends, as per NEP 2020 and further as per National Education Policy 1986, 10 plus 2 plus 3 system of education. So you can say these are the structure of education of a country. And friends, when we talk about the structure of education of a country, maybe 10 plus 2 plus 3 system of education, or maybe you can say 5 plus 3 plus 3 plus 4 system of school education. This is also highly linked with, highly associated with as per the socio-political perspective or socio-political issues of Indian education system. Then further, the national system of education is also based upon a national curriculum framework. Friends, you know NCF 2005, National Curriculum Framework 2005, which is developed by NCERT, and further by 2021 or by next year you will find that NCERT will come out with a new national curriculum framework for school education as per the recommendation of NEP 2020, National Education Policy 2020. So that's why the curriculum that we are practicing in our education system, that's called as the national curriculum framework, and that is also you will find the socio-political issues, socio-political system, socio-political practices that also got reflected in the national curriculum framework. Accordingly, you will find that the textbooks and other learning materials that got developed, and we developed curriculum for different countries. Then we can say we are talking about the goal of education, the goal of a country, the goal of education, just like national integration, international understanding, and universal brotherhood. These are the very broad principles of our education system. These are the goal of our education system. So basing upon these goals also reflect the socio-political system of our country. Then further, the issues of diversities, equity and equality, that is also form the essence of our education system. That is also part of our socio-political system. So to understand our society, we have to understand about the diversities. We have to understand about equity and equality. And friends, let me to say that these values, equity, equality, diversity, that is also part of our constitution, part of our Indian constitution. We consider that all our diversities, we are a very huge country having innumerable diversities from east to west, north to south. But we consider all these diversities are as our strength, and we try to achieve equity and equality among these diversities. Okay, so accordingly we design our education system, and that is the beauty of our socio-political system of this country. So that's why friends, when we talk about the socio-political perspectives of a discipline, that also includes the socio-political system, then further we can say that socio-political and economic issues have also been included in various disciplines and school subject. You can take the example of subject of science, social science, mathematics or languages. You will find that the concept of diversities, the concept of equity, equality, the concept, the goal of education, national integration, international understanding, democratic values, universal brotherhoods, that is means you will get a inclusive knowledge, you will get a type of inclusive experiences. Further, to understand about the historical perspective, let me to say that every discipline is having its own history, development and chronology. Every discipline is having its own story. Every discipline is having its own evolution. You will find that upon a time that discipline got evolved. Okay, there are certain reasons, there are certain knowledge base. By categorizing a type of knowledge, you will find that a discipline has been evolved, has been emerged, and every discipline is having a type of knowledge base, and developmental story is having its own chronology. You can take the example of education as a discipline. You will find that there is the story of education, there is the narratives of education,
there is the chronology of education system at the ancient system of educational practices, educational system at the medieval period of education, at the, you can say further at the British time, at the British period, what was the education system was there, and at the modern time after independence, what are the education system which is now we are practicing. You can take the example of the recommendations of different committees and commissions that has been set up, that has been developed at different times. So that's why, friends, you can take the example of history. History is having its own history also. Political science is having its own history. Economics is having its own history. Education as a discipline is having its own history. Sociology as a discipline is also having its own history. The historical perspective of a discipline not only discusses the history of the development of the discipline, but also describes the context in which it has evolved. So there are certain contexts, there are certain perspectives, there are certain reasons, there are certain cause, so that discipline has been emerged, has been evolved. The changing need of the society, you can say the development of science and technology, emergence of new ways and techniques are certain conditions for the emergence of a new discipline. So you will find that we consider that our society is ever changing, our society is ever dynamic. So that's why, keeping in consideration of the changing need of the society, development of science and technology, at the same time the methods, the techniques that we use in our institutional manifestation, you will find that new approaches, new methods, new techniques that we are using. So keeping in consideration of all such changing needs, you will find that new disciplines that got emerged and that got developed. Friends, these are the certain important concepts that we have discussed today's video program. Just to recapitulate that, today we discussed about three different perspectives of a discipline. First, we discussed about the philosophical perspective of a discipline. Further, we discussed about the socio-political perspective of a discipline, and further we discussed about the historical perspective of a discipline. For further queries, you can write to me niradhar@ignou.ac.in. You can make me a telephone call, and you can also visit my Facebook page, my YouTube channel, at the same time my Twitter account also. You will get many such video programs, many such knowledge and many such resources relating to this content point. Thank you.